You are listening to episode 71 of the Confident Coaches podcast, the one where we talk about lessons you can learn from Barf Club. All right, let's do it. Welcome to the Confident Coaches podcast, a place for creating the self-confidence you need to do your best work as a life coach. If you want to bring more boldness, more resilience, and more joy to your work, this is the place for you. I'm your host, Amy Latta. Let's dive in. Hello, my confident coaches. How are my Latta loves doing out there? I hope you're doing amazing. I am doing amazing. I'm just right off the top. Life is really stinking good right now. And that's actually a lot of what this entire podcast episode is going to be about, right? So a couple of weeks ago, I introduced you guys to a concept called Barf Club. Some of you guys might have already known it, but I did a whole podcast episode on what is Barf Club, why is that something you would want to engage in, etc. And I shared with you all two of my current ones. And so that's actually what we're going to talk about, the lessons from Getting Unstuck. What that's all about is I did one of mine. I don't just talk the talk, I also walk the walk. Like anything I ask you guys to do, guarantee I am doing it or have done it myself. And so I'm very happy to say that I did it. I did it, my friends. And actually, you know how I do? Not every single episode, but most of these episodes, I do a listener or a client shout out. I'm shouting out to the 100 coaches who joined us for Getting Unstuck. Getting Unstuck was my first ever live coaching event. 100 of y'all showed up. You showed up. You got vulnerable. You got coached. We broke some brains. And your comments and your feedback and your testimonies on the increase of the confidence that you all created in just 4 short hours were mind-blowing. Like, I am so honored to have been your coach for just a few hours. And like, for real, we can create that in 4 hours. Let's get you into Confident Coaches Mastermind so that we can do that level of coaching for 6 full months. Can you imagine what we could create? Oh my gosh, I get so excited. This is why I get so excited by what we're doing. And if you did miss Getting Unstuck, if you missed the event, no worries. You can actually buy the replay of the coaching event right now. You can just go to my site and get right on that. Now, this live coaching event is one of my Barf Clubs. So back in January, I met with my coach in my mastermind. I'm in the $2 million group with my coach. And she said, between now and our next meeting, which is in April, why don't you do this live coaching event? Let's try this live coaching event. When you kick off your next mastermind, which is what we are doing literally right now, when you kick off your next mastermind, kick it off with this live event. You've done lots of free trainings. Let's try like a live paid event. And while you're at it, also go hire a full-time assistant, personal assistant, business assistant, Jill of all trades for me, Amy Latta. So those were the 2 things that she told me to do. And those were my 2 Barf Clubs. That's where the podcast came from, right? Because these are 2 things that are so outside of my comfort zone. And like right out of the gate, I can fully attest my confidence growth since executing Getting Unstuck. Yeah. Remember how I said, what does Barf Club do? Further and faster, my friends. You get farther and you get there faster with more confidence when you're willing to commit to that. You don't have to do Barf Club level growth, but it is always worth it. The discomfort that you go through is always worth it. That's totally what we're talking about today. That's what I wanted to share. I learned so much about what we do as coaches through this process. So first of all, I want to be really clear on what I created. Because I know a lot of you are like, Amy, you do live coaching all the time. What is this live coaching event versus all of the free trainings I've seen, my webinars, my master classes? I used to do live coaching every week on Facebook, and I've done it on Facebook Live. I've done it on Zoom webinars. Like, other than it's 4 hours long and $97, what's the difference, right? And I got this question a lot, and it's a testament to my very first lesson that I'm going to share with you. I'm going to share 3 very specific lessons. And it's a testament to the first one I'm going to share that even I didn't fully know until I did it. Because the best example that I can give you of like, what's the difference between Amy going on Facebook Live once a week like she did like for 3 straight years? No, I don't do that anymore, but I did for 3 straight years and I've done all these master classes. What's the difference between that and getting unstuck? I want you to think like the Oscars. Or let's be honest, I'm probably more Golden Globes than the Oscars. Like Amy and Tina are definitely probably more my style, right? It was a 4-hour broadcast. A live 4-hour broadcast, multiple cameras. There was live video. There was recorded video. There were countdown clocks. There were operators switching feeds between, and now we're going here and now we're cutting to there. Me, the host or your head coach, who was on and off and standing by and ready to go live. I had my on-site producer running the entire show there the entire time. I had a videographer running the 2 different cameras. I had my regular photographer, my still photographer, capturing all of the befores, during, and after. I had a social media manager there putting it all on Instagram stories. And seriously, if you guys were following me last Monday, March 8th, and you're like, Amy's Instagram stories are like on fire today. Yeah, that was Megan, not me. There was hair and makeup. I had a hair person, my friend Sarah. I had a makeup person, my friend Carla. They were there the entire time, keeping me fresh and updated. And then we had a production assistant, making sure that everyone had what they needed at all times, not to mention the location manager. So I had actually did all of this off-site. I actually rented a location 5 minutes from my house. And so the person that owns and runs the location was there the whole time too. Like that was Team Amy Latta broadcasting this live event to you on your Zoom rooms in the Zoom webinar. Like I want you to think when you're watching like an Oscars or Golden Globe style production, that's what we were doing on a, coaching scale for 100 people. Like when I've done any of that other previous stuff, it was me, my computer, and a ring light. Like really understand the difference between those 2 things, right? And at the first Confident Coaches Bootcamp, I will tell you this. So Confident Coaches Bootcamp is something that's included in Confident Coaches Mastermind. We do the Confident Mindset Week, which is self-study inside the Facebook group. And then the week after that, we do 2 days, all day coaching event with me on Zoom. So you're in like everybody who's in the mastermind, and it's us in like our regular Zoom room, our regular Zoom meeting. I introduced this bootcamp to the January class. So if you worked with me all last year, like I have no idea what she's talking about. This is one of the things that I introduced with the January class. And so what we do in those 2 days is we work our way through the entirety of the Confident Coaches Mastermind workbook, which replicates what's on the member site. Basically, it's all the confidence tools, what they mean, how to use them, get coaching on them. We set our BHAGs, we set our goals, we start finding your doubts. You're getting an introduction to all of the tools that are in that Confident Coaches, shed, so to speak. And we're also using them so that you start the mastermind having learned all of the confidence tools that you can use throughout the rest of the mastermind. And I ran the Zoom room and I thought I was pretty fancy schmance because I was moving. So like when we would go on break, I would move between me live on camera and I would, share screen over to a Spotify playlist. Like that was the extent of the fancy production that I have done. This was next level. This was like, that's kindergarten compared to what the college level production we were doing. Like this was the production of a live event. And that leads to the biggest and most important thing that Getting Unstuck showed me. So this is the first lesson, and it was the biggest lesson for me. It was the most important lesson. If you get one thing from this, this is it. Now, I realize I say that a lot. Right? The most important thing or the key to your confidence is this. And I say that like about 5 or 10 different things. Well, this right here, this is a top 5 most important thing. And that is you are capable of so much more than you can even imagine. You want to know why I struggled to convey the difference and the magnitude of the up-leveling that this event would be above anything else I had ever done? Because I didn't quite see it yet myself. I had a vision Like I knew what I was hoping for. I had kind of a rough idea. I can tell you this, I had a crap ton of fear and doubt though. Like I'm putting together the budget and I'm hiring all of these people. And my Helga brain was like, Amy, you could just do this in your office. Like this is a lot for a fancy Zoom meeting. Like it's really funny because a lot of people were saying like, oh, I want to put one of these on too. Coaches, this event cost me $10,000 to produce. And that does not include what I paid my web designer to build the sales page and what I paid in Facebook ads to target people and to help bring them in. I just spent $10,000 just on the production and the execution of the event. And my Helga brain was over in the corner like, $10,000 for a fancy Zoom meeting. What a waste. It's never going to be worth it, right? Because I wasn't fully appreciating what I was capable of and what I could really do and what I was really doing. Like even in the execution of it, I was not appreciating what I was fully capable of. I want you to think for a moment, wherever you are in your business right now, you're probably pretty used to maybe setting some SMART goals, like goals you're pretty sure that you can do. And then in Confident Coaches Mastermind, what we do is we stretch that SMART goal into a BHAG, a big, hairy, audacious goal. This is just outside of that stretch goal zone. And we're going to throw a little barf club in there, here and there too, right? But then even beyond that, there is a future you that is like, you just have no idea of what's even beyond one stretch of a comfort zone past that. No idea of what, when you are willing to jump feet first into the unknown and the discomfort and face all of the doubt and do it anyway, what you will create. Like for me, my example of this, because of this event, I now believe in a $200 million or a $200 million Amy. Like she's just a feeling on the edges right now. And this event shone a light on her because my future Amy, my BHAG Amy, she's the $2 million Amy. She's the one that is my BHAG. That is my stretch. I'm doing a lot of barf club to get myself there. But $20 million Amy is on the other side of that. Like she's the wise mentor we've only heard of other people having, but you have it too. She's like your Gigi's Gigi. She's like your inner Gigi's inner Gigi. She is the one that's like, here's my dream and here's what I know I can do. But just beyond that, like fully stepping in to what you as the glorious human being that you are really and truly fully capable of. Take away all of the people pleasing and the inadequacy and the worry about what other people think and the comparison of where you are versus where other coaches are, and what's left? What's left is what you are fully capable of conceptualizing, creating, and executing and putting out into the world because you are in your genius. So our work in CCM, in the mastermind, is all about that future you and that BHAG version of you. So when I think about really embodying the you are capable of so much more than you can imagine, how can we get in touch with something that you can't even imagine? This is a legit question, right? Like if I'm going to tell you you're capable of so much more than you can imagine, what are you really supposed to do with that? Because you can't imagine beyond that, right? Because I surpassed my BHAG through this event and moved into that capable beyond imagine, now you might say, well, Amy, you hired all of those people to do that work for you. So it's kind of easy for you to go there when you can buy it or hire it out. But that is overlooking where my growth really was, what I learned through this process. And I had to get a ton of coaching on this. By hiring out all of those positions and fully turning all of the work over to them, it wasn't that I didn't trust them. I totally trusted these people. They're the best of the best, right? Oh, I totally overlooked the fact that my assistant, Danita, was in Colorado running the Zoom room. So not only did I have all those people on site, I had an additional person who was also navigating with Matt, my producer, and making sure that I could see and hear the people that I was coaching in the Zoom room, right? So it wasn't that I didn't trust them. They're all amazing and capable in those areas. And it wasn't that I didn't want to give up the control. Like on the surface, it looks like a control issue that I don't want to turn those tasks over to those people or that responsibility over to those people because either I don't trust them or I want to have control over it. But that's not what it is. What this event highlighted for me is that it was my belief that having them do all of that level of work meant that my work, just the coaching, wasn't enough. I know. It hit me like a ton of bricks. If I give them all the execution, if I give them all of the to-do and the strategizing, if something goes wrong, they're going to figure out and I'm not going to, I'm just going to sit there on camera, then I have to acknowledge that just coaching, just the vision and the ideas and the thoughts is not only enough, but it's worth having brought on all of those other people. This event required me to let go of the story that my value and my worth is tied into my ability to strategize and to solve. And instead, my value and my worth can be solely based on my big vision for Amy Latta Coaching, what I believe about confidence and that these are the best tools, and then turning around and coaching your asses off. So when I say I'm so much more capable than I thought I was, it's not because I'm capable of spending the money and hiring the people to execute. It's that I was capable of owning that my genius is in grand vision and brilliant coaching. And I can only create that by letting others do the problem-solving work and me doing the thinking work. For real, I had this thought, what if something goes wrong? What am I supposed to do? Just sit there and look pretty? I said those words out loud. As if stripping away all of the tasks of it all and all that's left, me just powerfully coaching and staying focused on the people in the room, virtual or not, that's just looking pretty. So how do you get into this more capable than you can imagine version of you, this beyond future you? I think just working on the knowing of it, that it exists, and then the feeling of it when it isn't there. And then the feeling of it when it is there. It's not something I want you to force yourself into. It's not one more thing I want you to put into your belief practice. Well, first I got to find the belief and now I got to go sit in it. Now I got to go visualize future you. And now I got to bring on this more capable than you can imagine version of me too. No, what I want you to remember is, and you know this, we've experienced this. We have these moments, these glimpses from the future. These glimpses from our inner Gigi's inner Gigi, they are fleeting thoughts, they are fleeting ideas, but they happen and you are aware of them. So the next time it happens, I'm going to invite you to hold on to it for just a little bit longer than you used to. Right? So this isn't something I'm necessarily, at least right now, I reserve the right to completely change my mind now that I'm owning that my genius is 100% into thought work and not necessarily anything else anymore, Amy. Now, when I see that I am capable beyond I can even imagine, I can see that the way you tap into that is that when those moments happen, have the awareness of it and be willing to hold on to the feeling of it longer than we maybe ever have used to in the past. So that when a barf club opportunity does arise for you, you've had some practice feeling that version of you that's on the other side of that. All right? Okay, so there were a couple of other things that became so apparent to me through the process of planning and strategizing and executing the Getting Stuck event. So the next one is about never forgetting the basics. When in doubt, go back to the basics, coaches. Because in that shift from me going from I need some tangible, hands-on tasks to prove my worth to nope, my genius is to think. I had some worries that I wouldn't know how to coach in this format or in this setting, or that I needed to give and do so much more to prove that I was doing enough and that this event was something different enough than what I'd been advertising. And when I let that go, I realized I only actually needed to remember 3 things. My 3 basic coaching principles. That's all I needed to remember. I literally repeated them to myself a couple of times before we got started. So as you guys were watching the countdown clock and as you guys watched that 2-minute intro video, and can we talk about the 2-minute intro video? I cried literal actual tears recording that. And then when Matt put it to all that visual, I was like, I'm serious. I was like, this is so good. I'm so proud of this work, right? So when you guys were watching all of that, I was live on the set. The camera wasn't on me and the sound was off, but I was live on the set just repeating to myself, why are we here? What do they need? What do I know? My 3 basic coaching principles over and over again. So what are your basic coaching principles? Remember, our only job is to show them their thinking. We don't have to solve all their problems. We don't have to figure them out for the clients. We don't have to wow them with a bunch of razzmatazz and fancy stuff. Our job as coaches is to show our clients our thinking. How do you do that? For me, in that moment, I just remembered my 3 things. Everyone here is thinking something that they don't have to. And there's something else that they could believe that is equally true. And from that new belief, what is their next best step? I just kept repeating that to myself over and over again. And really, because if you boil down my 5 steps to self-confidence, those are the 3 simple sentences that encapsulates my entire program. Not what can I add, but what can I simplify? And the results speak for themselves because the coaching flat out was the best I've ever done. Okay, so the last lesson I learned from Getting Unstuck is this. So sometimes we might think that our basics aren't good enough, and even when we get on board that they're not only good enough, but they're actually the best way to go, we then might start to worry that it's all been said before, that everybody all knows this stuff. Now, here's the thing about us life coaches. Most likely, our news feeds are full of other coaches, and we listen to podcasts from coaches, by coaches, for coaches, right? Our ears are constantly inundated with all of these concepts and ideas, and we forget that most of the world doesn't think about this stuff ever. They don't know it yet. We worry that it's all been said before, when in fact, 99% of the population's never heard it before. Like when I was thinking about this event, this was a lesson that came after the event, all part of the I have no idea what I'm capable of. It didn't even occur to me. I knew I was there to change the lives of the coaches that had paid me the $97 to attend the event. But then I got the feedback from my crew. I didn't even think about the impact that was possible for them. Now, my producer and my production assistant, that's Matt and his wife, Lindsay, they do know this stuff. Lindsay is certified through the same school that I am, and Matt produces, shoots, and does video work for my school as well as my coach. And they were like, this shit's really good, Amy. Except they didn't say shit because they don't cuss, but they were like, this is really good. Oh my gosh, your content is so amazing. And they already know this stuff a lot. Now, the second videographer and my social media person, they didn't know me. They'd never listened to my stuff before. And they were like, wow, this stuff is amazing. This stuff is gold. I've never thought of it this way. Your content is so good. Remember, my content was back to the basics. My content was simple. My content was easy for me. It's the 3 basic things I always do. And for them, they had never heard it before and they were blown away. They're not even my ideal target market. And they were still blown away by the content. Now, even my hairstylist and my makeup artist and my photographer, they follow me on social media. They've seen my stuff before. They aren't coaches and they don't have timelines filled with coaches, but I am in their life and they've heard me talk and they've watched my videos. And they were like, wow. I mean, I thought I knew, but I don't think I really knew until I saw this. Coaches, the world does not know yet. The market is not saturated. Our basic life coaching tools are life-changing. And when you don't believe you are capable of this at all, and you're worried about all that confidence-killing stuff, all those thoughts, all of those people-pleasing, all of that worry about what other people are thinking, all of that worry about whether people are farther ahead of you or you're behind or you've been wasting time or you should have done this, when you let all of that go, when you indulge in all of that, we aren't sharing the simple, life-changing concepts with people who are ready and willing right now. It was so clear, Lada Loves. This event showed me some really basic stuff that we hear all of the time, but we never believe. And I am inviting you to believe, because why not? Why not believe? You are capable of so much more than you can imagine. Allow yourself to imagine, even if only for a moment. When in doubt, go back to the basics, because the solution is almost always the simpler option, not the more complicated. And there is an entire world of people who have not heard it all a million times, and they're waiting to hear it from you for the first time, and then again and again until they are moved into action. And as for Getting Unstuck, lots of people said, please do it again. Do this again. I can't wait until you do it again. And the fact of the matter is I don't know that I will ever do this live again. That was not necessarily a plan. No, of course, never say never. I don't know what I might do in the future. But as of right now, it was never the plan for me to do this again. The plan was to create this live. Those of you that were live and were able to get coaching live is amazing. Lots of people signed up knowing they could only watch the replay. And that is what we can do now. The goal was to create this live 4-hour event, and then I'm going to share it over and over and over again, introducing new coaches and old coaches and coaches who've known me for a long time and coaches who just met me this week, introducing coaches to Confidence for Coaches, and give them a taste of this back to the basics work and how powerful it is. So if you missed it, no worries. It's 100% yours. You can go get it right now for $97 on my site. And when you see what you're capable of creating in this short time, when you see what's possible, when you get what you came for and then keep setting new, get what I came fors and keep hitting those, this is what we do in the Competent Coaches Mastermind. And we are enrolling the next class right now. So again, hit up that website, or there's an offer at the end of every podcast that allows you to get emails from me. So be sure to sign up for that free offer at the end of the podcast, because you can get Getting Unstuck and get 4 hours of a taste of Competent Coaches, learn how to use my 3 most common tools that I keep on my confidence tool belt. And then when you see what's possible in those 4 hours, let's see what's possible in 6 months. Go ahead and apply. Get your booty on the application for Competent Coaches Mastermind, because you're not only going to master those 3 tools on the tool belt, you're going to get access to the entire tool workshop, and you're going to learn all the tools that are possible and which ones to use when, so that you truly learn how to become a competent coach. All right, my coaches, I cannot wait to see what you create. And remember, until next week, let's go do epic stuff. Coaches, I have created a brand new freebie offer just for you podcast listeners. I created a brand new training called Stop Overcomplicating Confidence, because I see my coaches do it all the time, make this confidence thing way harder than it has to be. In this free training, you're going to learn exactly how you overcomplicate confidence, what's creating that, and how to stop it. Here's the best part. All of it, less than an hour. Less than an hour of your time. You will feel more confident in less than an hour, right? Yeah, friends, this is the best training I've ever done. So visit amylatta.com/podcast gift to get yours. Again, that's amylatta.com/podcast gift. Go now and feel more confident in just an hour. Thanks so much for listening to the Confident Coaches podcast. I invite you to learn more. Come visit me at amylatta.com. And until next week, let's go do epic stuff.